capital improvement plan. We're going to be meeting this week to go through that in detail with Interstate. You see, it's the Horace. It's there. Refresh your page. I uploaded it just a little. So what we want to do is so for example, I think Vance, I'll talk to Dave too. But if the guys have equipment or building improvements that they had on the list for this coming year, we should get it on this list. We want this to be our comprehensive, things that we want to accomplish or spend money on, our prioritized list, right? And I don't know if there's anything from planning, zoning, or park board. I know that the lights were still on the list, right? Getting the lights for the ball field. So I think those are probably still the number one priority for everything else. But we'll be working on stormwater, the wastewater, and the streets project, and reevaluating the list that came out from last year, taking off the items that are now completed, and then reassessing the priorities of those things that didn't make the list.
I sat down a little bit today with Adam and went through your list and kind of got an idea. We had some comments on some of your stuff and kind of what we've got in the pipeline.
Some of this has changed,
yes,
right? And
yes,
some priorities will have been modified, but I guess the point is that we'll be going through from the water, wastewater, stormwater, and streets. We'll be going through those. Vance and Dave, if you guys can go through and look at the streets and equipment and building. And if there's updated items there, you can send it to me or whatever, and I can get that updated. But we want to build this comprehensive, prioritized list that we can then ideally adopt, right? And this is going to be our priority for Interstate to go chase down this coming year, right?
So your status for lights in the ball field, if you want to add, it is in process and will be finished. Will be finished within, I said by April. I forgot what the date was. April something or other. So no later than May 1st. That's before May 1st.
Oh, so it's intended that we'll get them this summer.
It was supposed to be done before the end of the
Okay.
year, and then the contractor got delayed and
Okay.
another project, and the normal. This is what happens and so.
So I guess that's a question. You just want, if the park board just keeps updating us with if there's any roadblocks or anything.
Every month they update us.
Okay, all right.
So they were waiting. They had to wait till the ground froze because there was some of the underground work, taking the pipe, taking the old poles out, and doing something. It was easier to do it when it was frozen.
Really?
So than it was.
Okay.
They said that's what they got told.
Interesting.
Than it was when it was mushy. So
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. So they
So-
were going to do it at the anyway.
Right. Okay.
Between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, and
Okay.
that didn't end up happening.
So I guess just the point is that if there's other items, we're planning to review it. I would like to get a final draft of this by the next meeting, if possible, so that we can at least review the priorities and haggle on these priorities like we did last year. Hopefully it doesn't take us a month,
Right.
like it did last time, because we spent a lot of time going through the priorities of all the different items on the list. So it's important. It's an important exercise. Obviously, we need to start this process earlier, because I would like to have this capital improvement plan done and basically adopted by now. So, but there again, we fell off the list. So,
Because we have to start the budget planning earlier.
we got a whole lot of planning that has to start earlier in the cycle. So we got to get more diligent at this. So
we've got to add like metro card fees and stuff in the budget.
So that's my request for everyone to review and update and send back feedback so we can get that moving along. Water meter, we already talked about this, and I guess Jim, are we going to talk about the North Horace Development connection? Again, this ties into what John was talking about. I think one of the next steps is for us to get some surveys. I guess is that the first step for us is to start the survey and get some more concrete feedback from residents around, is there development level interest in connecting to the sewer system? Is that our first step to gather that feedback before because we know we got two, we could proceed with those, but is there other work that we could maybe get some cost savings if we bundled it with some other developments. I don't know. But I guess, is that part of the discussion on Thursday or no?
I think we should add that to put that in the discussion, yeah. I think you wanna gauge your interest on those before, and then sit down with each individual development. I don't think you wanna bring them all in here and sit with them and get a feel for it that way. I think you wanna do it more on a personal, individual.
I'm almost thinking more like subdivision,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
more so, because that way you can present it in that fashion.
yeah,
Because this will affect all of you in one swoop.
Okay,
yes.
so I guess, this plan, we need to build a plan around getting these survey feedback together. So I guess, does that wanna fall to you and me to put that plan together, or you wanna put that plan together, or what do you think?
Maybe we wanna start together and then we can.
Okay,
delegate
so start the
from there.
conversation on Thursday and
Yeah.
we'll go from there?
Yeah.
Was
Is
that-
a survey monkey simple to do?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah, it is, but
But
the
you have
problem
to-
is we're
we have
gonna
to
get
know who
low
you send it to.
low response. It's gotta be a letter.
Okay.
It's gotta be a letter. And maybe the letter might be, go to Survey Monkey and go fill this out.
Yeah.
Right?
But instead it's per subdivision. That's,
For some people, they wanna send a letter back or something. If others, if you wanna press, Survey Monkey, you can go do that too. I think we do a combination of the two.
I mean, I think your the first thing is to identify who is the spokesperson, so to speak, for each and every subdivision, so that you
Right.
can, get a subdivision meeting.
Right.
Whatever they call those meetings,
Very
when they
similar-
have them.
Very similar to what Chestnut has now. They have a spokesman.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Well,
very
most
similar.
every subdivision
Yeah.
has one, just
So
a
that's
matter
good.
of
Yeah,
figuring
in the
it out.
past, when we were looking at paving routes, we sent out letters, are you for the project, are you against the project? We got more than 50% of the people back said, no, we didn't pursue it any further after that, we didn't put any more time into it, so it's a relatively
I mean, that's,
quick and.
right, because that's kind of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Are you even interested? 'Cause
Yeah.
if not, okay.
And
That's
we might
easy.
be able to spur some of it by saying Horseshoe does want to do it. So we will have the Horseshoe online.
Mhm.
We're close to some other ones.
Because we got the same topic of conversation with this development on Wall, right? What is it called? The small development that's not annexed,
Oh, Westbrook.
Westbrook? Yeah, we gotta start that conversation, so that's one more to add to the list for
Yep.
getting survey and starting that process of discussion, so.
But yeah, we'll pursue that a little bit more on Thursday and have more
So
conversation.
we'll start that process on Thursday and we'll build some more plans around, at least building a list and getting the letter started drafted for those surveys. So, okay, so that was it.
Good. All right, so on my list of things here, first thing I got up was the city judge. Ran into something here about, a week and a half ago, where we probably needed to have that taken care of. We do not have a city judge as it currently stands, so we need to bring one on board. Because what's happening right now is that if it goes to district court, and we don't have a judge, and therefore if a fine is levied, we don't collect that. So, not that that's a ton, but still, we may as well keep it in our jurisdiction. So, the conventional wisdom here is that if there's somebody in the city limits of Horace that has a law degree, that can be considered a judge. If I read you right, or no, it doesn't work that way?
A city with less than 5,000, you don't have to have a law degree.
You don't, okay. So what's the criteria, just open, if you have to have
So
an
it
open
says
mind, or what?
in a city with a population of 5,000 or more, the municipal court judge must be an attorney. If less than 5,000, the city can pass a resolution requiring the judge to be an attorney. And then it just says the qualifications of the municipal court judge affect the types of cases they can preside over.
Okay, so,
There really aren't that many qualifications as far as what you need, but it does say that the new judge must complete orientation within the first 3 months of taking office. And it's a 4-year term.
okay. So it's an appointed position then, is what it would be?
In this case, it is appointed initially, and then the council confirms the appointment, but then after that, it's elected.
Gotcha.
It'd have to be on the ballot.
Okay, okay.
Have we ever had this position on our ballot before?
Michelle Donarski is your previous.
And before that, I had Susan Bailey, and before that, I had Scott Griffith, over the course of 25 years or so.
And then they also had to do.
Susan Bailey won't do it again?
Nope. She resigned, so did Michelle.
What was their reason?
Michelle's was that there just weren't any cases over here.
Yeah, I mean, John, in the last 27 and a half years, we've had court 3 times. And it's just,
Boring.
So it's not a really active job.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And there was a resident who called me, and she had a law degree, and I informed her of the position, and then told her to contact Vance, and I don't think that ever happened. So I don't know if she just decided that she didn't want to do it, or maybe she did, or maybe she contacted you and then
I
she
asked
contacted
her,
me.
I asked this lady to send me a little bio about herself, for lack of a better word. And she did, and I thought I sent that to you, but maybe I didn't.
I had a phone call with someone a few months ago.
Resume.
Let me look, I'll look tomorrow, and if I have anything
Send it.
extra,
Nice.
Post this on.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, so
See if
why
you
don't
could-
we-
yeah, see if
so
you
why don't
find
we
that.
post Why don't we post that job?
Well, I mean, we can, but we just have to get the criteria, because I think it should, something that should go in Horace Happenings then too, if you don't.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if the criteria is that they live in Horace,
That's not criteria.
okay.
Do you want it to be?
So
I'm just saying that's not a
The
requirement.
criteria is that they
No.
are an attorney or have a law degree.
That would be
Because
up
we
to.
could pass a resolution
Correct.
that they're the attorney, but it would be ideally a law degree or an attorney. I mean, you'd want someone that would have knowledge of the law.
I think what we're looking at is
Right.
simply a mediator, pure and simple, in my opinion. Whether or not they have a law degree, I don't know if that matters.
I think it'd be good that they don't live in Horace.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, why can't we get another attorney around this town, a young attorney, you know?
I mean, I can shoot an email to the different law firms in town
I'd say let's go that makes
and
sense.
see if any of them are interested.
Why are you excluding OT?
OT absolutely cannot do it
Why not?
because I'm the prosecuting attorney.
Well, I'm not asking you, I'm asking pick someone.
Well, no, because then like the same company or the same firm would be
Lucas,
the
don't
judge,
complicate
the
this.
judge and the prosecuting attorney. They're always they better
3
take,
times in what, 20 years?
they better take my
Yeah.
side on everything.
So
Yeah, whatever.
So what's the criteria?
Sometimes the water doesn't have to be muddy.
Well, can we?
Bingo.
Well, Lucas, what's the criteria?
There really aren't. There's not much
There's no
for.
criteria.
There's more criteria for
qualifications
being a
is-
path than there is for being a city.
The qualifications is based on population size, and then it just basically talks about the education requirements that they have. They're required to complete 18 hours of continuing education training within 3 years.
That's the only thing they would have to do.
The court system provides annual training to meet this requirement. The city provides reimbursement. They may have.
That's the job responsibility. What's the criteria to get the job?
And I read off
It
It could be
exactly what
like
they have.
anybody.
Anybody that applies and they just have to go,
If you
they have
want
to
to
be
be a
willing to
city
go
judge,
do the,
you have
do
to be
the
of good
training.
moral character.
Yeah, usually, but you know.
Think.
You want good moral character or a lawyer? I'm sorry.
We're not looking for a lawyer here. We're looking for a judge.
Yes. Good one, Russ.
You don't get counted.
So it's just
Yeah, I-
basically someone that's willing to go do the continuing education credits and willing to spend the time to go do that, sounds like. And appointed by, or, appointed by the mayor probably, and then confirmed by the council.
I would guess.
I don't know what to tell you. They just don't have.
There's no criteria.
I have qualifications for municipal
We
court
have more
judge.
criteria
Hey.
for
Well, it does.
We should at least require a resume, okay?
Qualifications for the municipal court
Otherwise my
judge vary
kids could
based
do
on
it.
the size
That's
of the
what I
city
mean.
and
There's
choice
something.
of the governing body.
Okay, so there has
Choice
to
of the governing body. You're the governing body.
And we have not set any criteria.
Correct. I mean, I can look to see if there's any past criteria, but And the city might have a resolution that they passed previously
I might have to look that up, because I think we do.
requesting or requiring that the judge is
Okay.
a lawyer.
Why don't you look that up, Vance,
I'll
before
check
we,
that out.
before we post it
But-
anywhere and
Yeah.
start like,
Tomorrow I will send an email to different law firms in town. And
Yeah.
just let them know that the
Just
city's
see.
looking.
But it's something too, I think we
I-
can put,
I can tell you, the board, that previous boards instructed me to pay $100.
Well,
per episode,
Per episode.
but here under this, it says, under North Dakota Administrative Rules, or, excuse me, under the judge's compensation, cities between 1,500 and 3,000, which that's Horace, right?
Yes, but I have a letter on record from Michelle and Susan Bailey that they would waive all that.
Yeah, they would have to do that, but this says each municipality should provide judicial compensation, which is not less than the following standards.
Yeah, but they agreed to waive that.
Yeah, they would have to, otherwise,
And I have written documentation for that.
which is fine.
you'd have to update it with the new guy,
Yeah.
so, if we get there.
or girl,
Or girl, sorry, yeah.
okay?
Anyway,
But then, like, we also have access to, all the attorneys in North Dakota get an email every day from the Supreme Court with, different information on the day, the hot topics basically, and then job announcements, so if need be, they can be put on that too.
I mean, that might be another
And that'll
avenue,
go
'cause-
to every lawyer in North Dakota.
Good, perfect.
Oh, there you go.
okay. So if you don't hear anything from that, we know we gotta bring it down a notch, huh?
That's better than Horace happenings, there you go.
Okay.
So I guess that's the question, should we have an ordinance that talks about the municipal judge?
Well,
Let me
he
look.
might, let
Yeah,
him
he's
look,
got
he
it.
might.
I'm looking.
Well, no, there, it's set by resolution, not by ordinance.
Okay,
And so you're not gonna see it in the cities.
okay.
We'll advance, look, take a look there.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Next thing, I'll go through these pretty quick. Forest Beautification Forestry Committee meeting is on January 8th, 7 o'clock here. I'll put something on Facebook about that. I did send an email around, but I'll put something on Facebook. City Strategy Planning Meeting, January 24th. I know some people can make it, some can't, okay? But this is where we're gonna start talking about what do we need to do here to get things going for this year, and then thinking 3 years out with all the things that are currently going on around town right now. We gotta start putting things probably in perspective and come up with a strategy on how we're gonna start knocking some of this stuff off. Especially with the school thing is percolating again pretty hard actually. We'll just have to see what we wanna do as a city, come up with some ideas, strategies, thinking forward a little bit, just kind of
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, yeah. Kind of feeding off of what you talked about and what we've all talked about over the last couple of years. Let's bring everything together. We got planning and zoning and park board should be here, and whoever else wants to join in, but I think it'll be a good meeting, get things started. Diversion update, Jason took care of that for us. I just didn't know if he was gonna make it, so I shall not proceed any further with that. And that's what I got. Vance, I'll send it over to you. If you want to
Okay.
say no report, I don't believe you.
I do have just a couple of things. First of all, Brian, as we talked about that dollar amount, we went with Jim's presentation on that meter thing. We need to come up with some kind of a dollar amount. Can you tell us right now what that might be?
Going off for what?
It's that line, whatever that line is, Jim.
It's the way that you wanna repay the bond back, you know, typically
We're
in
gonna
the
throw
past,
sales
we
tax money at
we've
it?
used special assessments, and this one you wanted to use user rates and offset that with some of the sales tax for infrastructure stuff, so I don't know if there's been a general
Combination,
consensus.
it's a combination of that, so,
And they need a little more than just we're gonna use both.
okay.
So we're looking at, they need an actual dollar amount, Jim?
I think that's the best.
150 grand?
I don't know, 150 grand for the tax, sales tax we would get a year? Or the total that we would,
What you'd wanna use out of the sales tax money for that project.
okay, but and we don't have to say the term, or that would be used, right?
I don't
Or the
believe we
number
don't
of
have to
periods.
say the term.
We're just saying the amount that would be funded out of.
We have to commit something.
Right, I understand, I'm just saying, we don't have to say how long that would have to be paid
I
back.
don't believe.
We would just say that we're, of this total, half is gonna be paid out of sales tax, other half is gonna be paid out of usage fees. That kind
You
of
agree
thing.
with that?
Yep,
Jim?
I think that'll
Okay.
work. That
Yeah.
should satisfy that part of it.
Cause that would probably be like over
If
a
it-
5-year, 7-year bit, right?
Right,
was
and we
the
can
other thing
figure
is-
out what term that would pay that back then.
That was the other thing, was the term. I know you guys had talked in the past about making it a much shorter term, just because there's no need for it to be such a long.
No, cause
a
the
long
dollar
period.
amount's not that big, but it'd be nice to cash flow that a little bit out if we
Yeah,
could,
exactly.
you know.
So, I mean,
If we can get 7, I think that'd be great.
that's what I was wondering, I was thinking 7.
Yeah, I think.
Is that a reasonable
anything
term?
up- They only put a max on it. You can only do up to 30 years.
Yeah, but they wouldn't give us that on that short
I don't
note.
think you'd want to ask for
Nope,
it.
nope.
But I can show you the form. I can email you the form of what it is and
Okay.
show you what the.
But I mean,
prices are.
Vance, if we just went with that 50-50, you know, and finance that over 7 years,
You know, we've talked about that before, and it's, you know, we kind of came to a reasonable conclusion on
so
that.
if you use those two parameters and come up with that, how much we would have to come up with the sales tax, and how much we'd have to come up with the usage fees, because I've got the number built into the usage model for how much revenue we can allocate from that every year to certain types of things like
We'll
this.
send that to them.
Okay.
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 And I'll have
It
to.
isn't as much as you would think, but there is a decent amount of money there.
I'll
We just
update
have to
the-
fill in a blank there.
Yeah, and I'll update the estimate to include the meter stuff. That wasn't included in the first estimate, but.
Aren't you gonna have a vote to commit sales tax infrastructure funds?
No.
They're not yours to spend.
They are. It's sales tax revenue that we get as a
With
city,
infrastructure, we.
that's just going into a fund right now, and it's up to us to decide how those funds are to be allocated.
Yes.
Now,
75% for infrastructure and 25% for business incentives.
correct,
Right.
correct,
So
so,
75% minimum for infrastructure. The whole 100% could go for it.
Okay.
That's how it's written. And what I'm saying is if they're gonna commit that funds, don't they have to vote on it?
I don't
Well,
think so.
I'm not sure that we do, but. Lucas, do you want
I'm not sure.
to make sure we'll
It just says the city may. And the power.
you don't have to look now, look tomorrow.
Say, good question.
I
Okay.
just want to get
Because
this
one of the
started
things that we're talking about is building a model, because I want to be able to take a piece of that and use it over
Yes.
different projects as they come along, right, as they
Absolutely.
get approved. So this is but our first project that we are gonna allocate to sales tax.
And we should, and I'm just saying, we need to start this absolutely, totally legal.
Fair, good point. I don't know if it's required for longer.
I don't have a problem with what you're talking about doing with it,
Okay, we'll give you an answer.
but I just think we need to have a legal.
Well, I think what we'll do,
understanding how to do it.
we'll figure that out. We're gonna publish this anyway, right? We're gonna publish this, how the funding mechanism and so forth is happening anyway, so. But good question.
Okay, the only other thing I have, Corey, is, I'd sent, Brian and you guys an email on, presently, all the salary expense from Ben and Adam are being allocated to the water and sewer fund. I've got the guys working, they're pulling time cards for the entire year. What I would like to do is, okay, we're working with two funds. We got highway, we got water and sewer fund. Highway is well heeled, water and sewer is in a deficit position of about 120 grand. My thought is transfer some of that money, out of the highway, back into the water and sewer fund to heal that a little bit, to show that we're, making some progress.
So the time cards that they have submitted, do we have like a summary breakdown of how many hours?
They're giving their best estimate.
Hey, best estimate is better than nothing at all.
I agree.
But I think going forward, we need to have a
That needs to be broken
daily
down.
tally.
If they're spending, if they're spending 30 hours a month, in the summertime fixing roads,
Yes.
they should be logging that time to fixing the roads.
Exactly.
And those hours should be coming out of the highway fund.
Exactly.
Right.
But I've never paid much attention to it before because it's now getting scrutinized a little more
Right.
because of the lending, and the people that were asking for money. and they're concerned about that.
Right.
So, to sum it up, I would like to come up with a number, present it to you guys. I cannot transfer money from one fund to the other without board approval.
And right now it's a
So-
deficit of how much?
About 120. And I think we could heal that by half.
Or you're just saying take 60,000, when you, in half, when you just take 60,000 out of the highway fund.
Yes, sir.
And if we could justify that by saying those are hours that have been spent by Ben and Adam doing highway work in the past that we didn't really properly withdraw from that account.
Correct. And I need written documentation from them, so I have something to support my entry.
Fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely, because I don't know that we'd be, you'd wanna know in, sort of in round numbers.
Yeah.
How many hours per month they're spending doing highway work versus,
Water and sewer. Highway
other
maintenance,
things.
grading, all the hours that they
Yeah.
spend grading, snow plow should not be going to,
And it presently is.
that should not go to water up fund, right? Because their hours spent snow plowed and overtime and so forth is coming out of that fund, which is overstating our expenses. So that was part of the thing I built into my model. I'm like, wait a minute, our funds are being drawn too heavily here. So we need to adjust that somehow. So, do you
And I think
need
that-
a vote tonight to make that happen?
No, I want to see the number first.
Okay,
Then I'll present it to you guys on the 18th or whatever the next.
so I think, yeah,
15th.
15th, whatever it is.
so let's,
So
yeah,
that's-
let's review
we're
this and
okay with
come
that
back.
then.
I agree. This is a reasonable request.
I think it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. We can justify it. And
Absolutely.
in all honesty, it's true.
Absolutely.
Right, we just haven't withdrawn the funds as we should have.
And the other alternative, Brian, is we can just leave it alone.
So I think the thing is,
It's up to you guys.
can we have the guys be more diligent about keeping track of their time?
Yes, we can and we should.
So,
Won't we have to get codes? You can, in payroll, you can create codes for different departments.
yeah,
So maybe we would, if we had like 3 different codes for them, then they could just tell us like, for like one
thought-
was
Good.
road,
Absolutely.
like
I thought
highways
Dave
and
had
roads.
drafted like 5 codes.
Oh, okay.
I thought-
Well, I mean, if we
I
need
thought when we
5.
talked about this last summer, we talked about having like 5 payroll codes or category codes for these.
Yeah, but we never pursued it.
I know we got the list. I think we have the list of what those codes would be.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
So if we could, let's start that now.
okay.
Because it's, hey, January 2nd.
Okay. Okay, we'll think about that, and then I'm working on year end, but I can't do year end until we get this.
Get this issue resolved, okay? Can you give us an update on the city administrator applications?
Yeah, there's 10
I
of them
think
out
there
there.
was 8 or 9 or 10.
Yeah. I just got a hold of Dave before we came to the meeting here, and he says 9 or 10, so.
Sorry, I didn't look.
When
But
is it closed?
most of them are
22nd, 21st,
out of state
yeah.
applicants, which is whatever.
Yep, 22nd of January is when we close it up. So, yeah.
So we
The
do have some
Facebook posting
applicants.
got a lot of play, a lot of airtime on that, so that was good. No, the other question,
Yes, sir.
our tax monies, what are we up to in that bill right now?
Sales
Or
tax?
2% tax, where are we at with that? How much money we got in that
Oh,
account
the
right now?
sales tax fund? I'm not there yet. 200 grand.
Except for the end of the year.
200,
So-
it'll be 200.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I was just trying to get an idea if where we're at with that.
So that's 8 months?
April 1, we started drawing.
I think.
Yeah, but I thought you said that first month, wasn't that like,
Peanuts.
so
So
you can't
basically
really
May.
count 8 months, right?
It was pretty much May through.
No.
Yeah, I think December, didn't we get like 40,000?
No, it's averaging about 28 to 32 each month.
I thought there was one month that was an outlier.
August.
August.
It was
I
Bean
thought there
Days.
was one month that was like, whoa, what happened?
Well, September, well, yeah,
Bean Days.
Bean Days
It
receipts.
was-
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
But I do remember the first check we got was $5.15.
Yeah. Go team, yeah.
Go buy a case of pop.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Otherwise, I think we'll call it a wrap. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. John,
Second.
Brian, we're done.
Thank you very much.
In your discussions, if they go with, if they take 100th away, make them put an interchange